What's up, everybody? Great Malachi here. So, I'm finally going to address this crazy topic that has been circulating all over the internet, mostly social media, Facebook, and Twitter. And I have seen it on a few websites. And I recently heard a podcast that was completely one sided. It totally just told one side of the story. So, if you're listening to this, then you probably already heard the other side, and you're curious about this one, and you're coming in with a judgmental attitude. Maybe some of the people out there might be coming in with an open mind just to see what I have to say. Other people are just here to say, "Oh, fuck you, dude. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong." Whatever the case may be, it really doesn't matter to me. Uh, my reason for putting this out there isn't for justification. My reason for putting this out there is because I got a lot of friends hitting me up. I'm getting lots of text messages, phone calls, private messages on Facebook, direct tweets, and pretty much all my friends from around the world. I've wrestled in several countries around the world and all over the United States, asking me, dude, what's going on? Why is everybody hating on you? And the reason why my friends are so shocked is because they all know I'm a good guy. I've built a good reputation in the wrestling business. I've wrestled for 14 years, a little over 14 years, and I've never had this kind of incident happen before. So now they're all wondering, what happened, and they know there's a reason behind it because they know my character, and I'm just not that kind of guy. So that being said, it took place at an Anarchy Pro Wrestling show in Burwell, Illinois. I was working with this young kid in a tag team match. My partner, the Great Cheyenne, she's a female wrestler, longtime tag team partner, was in my corner, and we were working with this green kid, and there's just a big story behind it that nobody knows, and everybody seems to be ignoring the fact that this kid fractured my ankle on purpose, and everybody's like, why would such a small young green kid, shoot on a guy twice his size? And again, there's a story behind this, and everybody's just looking at the imagery that they see. What they see on the screen is this big guy picking on a little guy for no reason. That's what they think. So they're calling me a bully. They're calling me all kinds of names. I mean, I'm going to post all these screenshots. So while you guys are listening, you guys can see everything that's actually going on. They're just calling me all sorts of vile things, and they're pissed off about me swearing. And I'll give them that. Because I did do a lot of swearing. I was pissed off. And anybody who's human, anybody who knows, when you get pissed off, if you've been pissed off, you know exactly how it works. You do tend to swear, and although I'm supposed to be, in character and whatnot, I was pissed off. My ankle had gotten fractured. I knew it was deliberate. It was on purpose. So I was like, I just got angry. And when you get angry, you swear. But there was a lot of kids in the crowd, so I'll give the people that, because right when I came through the curtain, the promoter said this himself in his own podcast. When he was back there, nobody came up to him. The kid didn't go up to him. His partner didn't go up to him. The referee didn't go up to him. Everybody that was involved in the ring that night did not go up to him and tell him anything. The only one that went up to him was me. Now, he says in his podcast that I went up to him complaining and whatnot. I did do that. I told him what happened, though, and I apologize for one thing and one thing only. I apologize for my language, because I do feel that my language was wrong due to the fact that it was a PG show and there were little kids there. But that's it. I'm not going to apologize for my actions. I'm not going to apologize for what I did to the kid. I'm just not apologizing for that because he intentionally hurt me. I'm going to explain why, so I don't regret my actions at all, not one bit. But I will address a couple of things before I get into that. People are saying I tried to end his career. Some people said I tried to break his neck. Some people are saying I tried to break his arm and all that. And I can understand why people are saying that when they see me all pissed off. They see me swearing, and they see me I got this kid in the arm bar, and I'm torquing it. They're looking at it like I'm trying to break his arm. But let's be realistic. As fragile as everybody's describing him and saying how I'm twice his size, and clearly he couldn't get out of the armbar unless I let it go. If I really wanted his arm broken, don't you think it would be? I mean, guys, use your brain for a second. Look at the video. Just look at it and watch me let him go. And look at the positioning of my body and how I'm not completely rolling over on his shoulder, causing it to break. Okay, so behind all that swearing and all that anger, there was a level of self-control, and there was definitely a huge amount of controlled pressure. Hell yeah. Did I put any pressure behind that hold? Hell yeah. I'm not denying it. Like I said, I have thick skin, and I can take the fucking heat that comes my way. So, I put pressure behind that hold, and I did it intentionally. The same way he put 100% pressure behind his freaking sloppy sharpshooter and snapped my ankle. I put pressure behind that hold afterwards, and I held on to it for a while to get back at him. Now everybody's saying a simple receipt. That was a receipt. And if you think that was too much, I don't think it was. I think that was just fine because I did not break anything in his body. When that kid left the show that night, he left scared. He left with a bruised ego and maybe a sore shoulder. That's it. He's 100% healthy right now. Physically, 100% healthy. Me, on the other hand, I'm laid up with an ankle fracture. So, did I try to break his arm? The obvious answer is no. Because if I wanted that arm broken, it would be broken. Did I try to break his neck? Now, the kid's not worth me sitting in prison for murder. No, I didn't try to break his neck. No, I didn't try to paralyze him. I choked the kid out. I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to break anybody's neck in the ring and jeopardize myself and my life and end up in prison over an ankle fracture. But I'm not going to walk away and just let the person get away with it. The way I was trained, and it was the old school way, is if anybody ever takes any liberties on you in the ring, if anybody ever intentionally hurts you, then you do not let them get away with that. You get back at them, you defend yourself, whatever the case may be. Some people are calling me a cunt and a pussy and all kinds of messed up names because I took advantage of him, they say. He let me put him in the armbar, and once he allowed me to put him, then I started shooting. Well, you mean the same way I let him put me in the sharpshooter and he snapped my ankle? You mean that way? Okay. So now let's get to the whole backstory of the whole thing so everybody can see or everybody can understand what happened. So my partner, manager and my partner, the Great Cheyenne, we arrived there, I want to say maybe 2-3 hours before the show. I don't think it was 3. It might have been like 2, but it was definitely before the doors open. And definitely with enough time to get in the ring and work out the match and all that stuff. So we arrived there and, we do our meet and greet and all that with the guys back there. And then I go up to the promoter and ask him who I'm working with, or he sends me to the booker. I can't remember exactly how he went, but I ended up finding out. And his partner was there. The kid's partner was there, but the kid himself was not there. So then I go in the ring with his partner. And Cheyenne comes along in the ring, and we start going over the match, and we start, describing things that we want to work out in the match and all that, So he tells me I'm not taking the heat. He tells me his partner's taking the heat. And I go, that's fine. Let me go over some stuff with you so that you can explain it to him because he's not here. Apparently, he had been booked in a double shot that night. He was working for another promotion. He was going to show up late. So we're working out this stuff with his partner. And we end up working the shine spot with his partner. He's going to get the opening shine. Their baby faces were heels. So as we're working out the shine, we work out the shine. He tells us what he wants to do and all that stuff. Then we work out our stuff. And then pretty soon we get to the back and they open the doors and we all go and get in our gear. And we're sitting there in our gear, twiddling our thumbs, Cheyenne and myself. And we're waiting for this kid to show up. And he's not coming. So fast forward a little bit. His partner's on social media saying he showed up about 20 minutes before the show or so. 20 minutes before bell, I mean. I want to say it was more like 15, but whatever. 15, 20, 5 minutes give or take. The kid shows up before the actual first match starts. Somebody must have pointed him in my direction because I never met him before and I've never seen him before. He comes up to me and he says, "You're the guy I'm working with, right?" And I just nod my head. I say, "Yes." And he goes, "Okay, I'm going to go get in my gear. I'm going to go change. I'll come back and I'll let you know what we're going to do." So now we got this kid who comes up to me, who's been working over 14 years. I've traveled around the world, been to several countries and wrestled. And he comes up to me and he says, "I'm going to tell you what we're going to do." And then he walks away. He doesn't shake my hand. He doesn't introduce himself by name. He doesn't say anything else to me other than, "I'm going to go change. I'll be back and I'll let you know what we're going to do." So I look at the other vets that are sitting next to me, guys that I've known for a few years now, and we just kind of laugh it off. And we're laughing at this point, not because I'm planning anything maliciously. We're laughing because we realize that this kid has no locker room etiquette at all whatsoever. So not only is he walking in late, he's been in the business for a year. He's been wrestling for 6 months. So he's got about a year's worth of training. And whoever's involved in his training, I heard a few names or whatever. obviously didn't show him how to conduct himself in the locker room based on what I saw. So he comes back in his gear and he starts giving me all these ideas of things he wants to do. And at this point, the first match is already going on. It's probably halfway through, and he's giving me all these ideas of what he wants to do in his shine. And I tell him that the opening shine is for his partner, that we already put 90% of the match together, and that we don't have any room for new ideas at this point because we're running low on time. So he's getting pouty and he's insisting, but this, but that, I got these ideas. And I go, hey, kid. And that's exactly the way I called him. I said, because I didn't know his name. He didn't introduce himself to me. So I'm just like, hey, kid, your partner's got the shine. We don't have time for new ideas. We're up next because we were the second match on the card. And so he's just got this pouty look on his face. He just looks pissed off. And he tries insisting one more time. And I tell him, look, I'll give you a nice lengthy false comeback. And for all of you guys that don't understand guys and girls, whoever may be listening, that might be fans that don't understand wrestling terminology, just Google it. I tell them, I'll give you this lengthy false comeback. It'll be more like a spot than a quick cutoff. And it sort of pacifies him. So we start going over something real quick involving clotheslines and him giving me a spinning heel kick or whatever. And he's happy now. But in the process of this, I discuss another spot with him involving chops. And again, he gets this like pissy like look, like he's just not happy. And it's pro wrestling, it's not ballet. And he just doesn't like the idea of being chopped. So he goes to me, okay, you can give me like 1 or 2 chops. And I go, relax, kid. I'm going to chop you a few times. I'm going to give you a clothesline. I'm going to give you a boot. Something like that, around that nature. You can see the video. You can actually see the spot happening. And then, and that's it. That's pretty much the backstory to what happened. And he was just so pissy about this. He was just not happy with the idea of having to get chopped. So fast forward. They're calling us up to the curtain, like, what you would call the gorilla position or whatever. And they're telling us that we're up next. So we go downstairs. At this point, I didn't have a chance to warm up. Nobody had really a solid chance to get ready. In particular, myself, because I was trying to go over this long false comeback that I was trying to give the kids so they can be happy. And, so I didn't get a chance to stretch or anything like that. But I did get a chance to tell him and his partner that I had just recently come back from Japan and that my ankle had been injured there. So lay off the ankle. His partner, the kid's partner, told me his left ear was messed up. So, stay off his left ear. And for all you people saying that if you're hurt, you shouldn't be in the ring, that's bullshit. There's several wrestlers that work around injuries and work injured. And that's just the way we do things. If you're a fan, you know nothing about it. If you're a wrestler, you completely understand. I had come from Japan maybe 5-6 weeks prior and not taken any bookings due to the fact that my ankle was injured. I took the Anarchy booking because it was so far away that I figured I'd be 100%. But when the show came, I was maybe 90%, and that's probably my fault because I had been going to the gym and working out and walking on it and doing daily tasks that you do in everyday life. So my ankle was about 90%. 90% means my ankle hadn't been broken in Japan. It was just bruised, seriously bruised. So 90% means that it had a stiffness to it and it required warming up perhaps. But I could walk on it. I could run on it. I was starting to do cardio. I was doing leg exercises at the gym. I was squatting. So it wasn't like my ankle was in a complete fragile state. It was about 90%. It was workable. And so it was just a little bit stiff. And so fast forward to the match now. Now the kid knows I have an ankle issue. I know that his partner has an ear issue. And, fast forward to the match. We're in the ring and we're working. And everything's going okay. There was a botch spot in the beginning. He went for a crossbody. He looked like he was jumping for it and didn't go. So I'm kind of standing there like an idiot. Then when he did go, it wasn't so much a crossbody. It was more like a straight one. So, that was like one little botch. Nothing to be pissed off about. I don't get angry over messed up moves or things of that nature. Everybody makes mistakes. And that's another thing I want to touch on. For everybody saying that I got upset because the sharpshooter was sloppy, that's not why I got upset, and that's certainly no reason to shoot on somebody. So you guys got to chill out because you guys just don't know what happened. But then again, going back to the match, we're working. I start the opening spot with his partner, and then the kid gets tagged in. He's taking the heat. Everything's going just fine. Fast forward to the chop spot. I tie him up in the ropes. I give him about 3 chops. Now he was supposed to stay tied up in the ropes, and you can see how much he dislikes the chops, because I think after the first or second one, he unties himself, and I gotta keep putting him back up on the ropes so I could chop him again. Cause like I told you, he said maybe 1 or 2 chops. So I think after the second one, he figured he'd had enough, and I put his arm back up there and gave him another one. I only gave him about 3 chops. If you watch the video, there was 3 chops followed by a clothesline. There was supposed to be a boot after that, where the kid is hanging over the middle rope. His body's hanging over the middle rope, and I give him a boot to the side of the head. That never happened because the kid ends up powdering out. Now keep in mind, this is a baby face, and he's powdering out of the ring, and he finds an empty seat in the front row, and he just sits there, and he's got the saltiest look on his face. And I have a friend who was in the crowd that night, and he's also a worker, a wrestler worker, in case you don't know. And he looked at the kid. He came up to me during intermission when I was selling posters, and he looks at the kid, and he tells me, "I know why he did that to you." The kid had a salty look when he was sitting in the front row. He just had the saltiest expression, and I think it's because he didn't like getting chopped. And without me having to tell him the story of what happened in the back and how he was completely disgusted by getting chopped, he knew. He knew. And he even says, "The kid's a babyface. Why is he powdering? Babyfaces don't powder." So this kid's sitting out there in the front row for a while. And so I start playing to the crowd. I put my arm up. I play to his opponent, to his tag team partner a little bit. Then I turn around, the kid's still in the crowd. So at this point, my partner Cheyenne and myself are looking at him like, "Get back in the ring." And as he starts to make his way back in the ring, he's just looking like he doesn't want to get in the ring. So I grab him by the hair and kind of help him in. I don't pull his hair, but I just help him in, give him a suplex, and we keep working. Shortly after that suplex, I end up giving him a Russian leg sweep into a hold, and I let him reverse me out of the hold. And this is when the sharpshooter happened, because as soon as he reverses me out of the hold, he applies that sharpshooter, and of course I let him. Same way he let me put him in the armbar, I let him put me in the sharpshooter. We turn around, he locks it in, and that's when he just squeezes 100%. Now, this isn't like a punch. This isn't like a kick. I've explained it. Punches and kicks, you slip on a punch and a kick, you accidentally potato somebody, you pick somebody up, you get dropped awkwardly in a slam and they end up hurt. Those kind of things happen. Those are accidents. This is a kid applying 100% full pressure on my ankle to the point where it snaps. Now me, if you see me in the video, I'm trying to go for the rope fast. I kind of accidentally, I reached for it. I tried to get it, and I couldn't, and I tapped it with my fingertips, and my hand comes down, and I'm just like, at this point, I'm thinking, fuck, because I'm in so much pain. And then he cranks even harder because he feels me trying to get away, and he ends up snapping it. When I felt that snap, it was loud. And I know he heard it, because if I heard it from where I was, I'm sure he heard it. It was loud. I felt it. I'm sure he felt it. He doesn't let go. I heard that snap. I got desperate, and I just pushed up, and I grabbed the rope. The referee makes him break it. Now, I got a few people telling me, well, if he was shooting on you, why would he break it? He doesn't have to break it. He's shooting on you. I mean, same way I broke the chokehold, okay? I mean, but for him, it's a little bit different. I made it obvious. I made it clear that I was shooting on him because I didn't give a damn what people think. Okay? It's that simple. I made it obvious that I was shooting because I got thick skin and I'm ready to take the heat for it. This kid, he let go of the hold because he's hiding it under the guise of a work. If he held on to that hold, it'd be completely obvious that he was shooting on me, so he let it go. The job was done. My ankle was fractured. He knew he had done some damage. He let it go so that nobody would know that he shot and he could play this innocent little mousy boy that never did a thing. But I sat there. I tried to figure out the motive, and I think that's what his motive was getting chopped. He didn't like getting chopped, and he figured he'd return the favor. And perhaps he didn't know he would snap my ankle, but he definitely purposely applied pressure to get back at me. And what ended up happening due to that pressure, because holds can be so dangerous, is he ended up snapping my ankle. Actually, in Japan, where they do strong style, the stiffest style in the world, things are very stiff. Kicks are stiff. A lot of guys kick you full blown, in the chest. They kick you, full blown in the back and things like that. Of course, all these things that are done with full impact are cleverly, they're not hitting you in areas where they're going to damage you. Like the forearms aren't straight to the nose and stuff where you're going to get your nose broken. The forearms are stiff, the kicks are stiff and all that, but they're properly placed in a position where you're not going to get hurt. You're going to get bruised, but you're not going to get anything broken. You're not going to get anything seriously hurt. And even in Japan, where it's the stiffest style in the world, when they apply holds, they're light as a feather, because they understand that a simple arm wringer, for example, can be very dangerous if it's applied with any pressure at all. So, I mean, if you even apply the slightest pressure, they'll tell you to ease up. And this is Japan we're talking about. So now, let's go to this kid. He's applying 100% full pressure on me, and he's going to act like he doesn't know, like it's an accident. And then he's going to go on social media, and he's going to go on this podcast that's one-sided, and he's going to say, oh, I didn't apply any pressure. First, he said he applied very little to none. Then he said none. Like, piss off, kid. You know exactly what you did. You know exactly what you did. There's no way to accidentally do that. I go back to what I've always said. I've taken several pictures with several fans that are wrestling fans, and they know what holds look like, and they want to put you in a chin lock, or they want to put you in $1 million dream, or they want to put you in an arm bar or something, and they want to take a picture with you, and you do it because you're having fun with them. And these kids put these wrestling holds on you just as good as anybody else would, and they don't apply any pressure because they're posing for a picture. They do it light as a feather. So if an untrained kid can do it, this kid who's got 1 year's worth of training, 6 months worth of wrestling experience in front of a crowd, should know that he's applying all his pressure. He's putting all his elbow grease into it, and he's going to act like he didn't do nothing. That's bullshit. He applied all the pressure. He caused a fracture. He did it intentionally to get back at me for chopping him, and he thought he was going to walk away and get away with it. And I didn't let him get away with it, and it's just that simple. So, when everybody says, you're a punk, you shot on him after he let you put you in the hold or whatever, like after he let me put him in the hold. Well, it's the same thing. I let him put me in the sharpshooter, and he ended up snapping my ankle. So he let me put him in the arm bar, and I ended up cranking it. But, like I said, controlled pressure. The kid walks away, sore shoulder, bruised eagle, 100% physically healthy, and I walk away, because I had the courtesy not to snap his arm, I walk away with a fractured ankle. But I'm the bad guy, because in the imagery, everybody sees the big guy picking on the little guy. They don't know their backstory. They don't know his attitude. They don't know. They just aren't going to believe that a little green kid would shoot on somebody. But you got to understand, these kids are green, therefore they're immature, therefore they have attitudes, and they think that their shit don't stink. And that's exactly what this kid had when he walked in there. So it's not what it seems. But everybody wants to have their perception even though they weren't there. I got people from Australia messaging me, people from the United Kingdom messaging me, people from Canada messaging me, people from all over the States messaging me, fans and wrestlers alike acting like they know what happened, and they don't, because you weren't there, you weren't in the ring, you didn't feel the pressure, you didn't get your ankle snapped. And what I tell all the wrestlers is, and I've been telling this to all of them, is if somebody ever intentionally hurts you, I want to be the first guy there to pat you on the back for being a better man than me, and telling the guy, it's all good, bro. Thanks for giving it to me up the ass. Thanks for breaking a bone. No hard feelings, man. And walking away. Because that kind of shit don't happen. Again, I apologize for my language. I did that to the one person that deserved the apology, and that was the promoter, and that's it. But I ain't apologizing for my actions, because what I did was justified in my eyes. It was completely justified. If somebody ever intentionally hurts you in the ring, you do not let them get away with it. So, this little innocent mousy boy that never did a thing, this is the problem with him. It's not going to be the first time it happens to him if he continues going on like this, but I honestly feel like he's going to think twice before he does something like this again. Because if he ever does something like this again to anybody else is going to do the same thing. Whether they do it in the ring or whether they do it in the back, this kid will get his ass kicked again if he does this again. Because people don't take that shit. And I certainly don't. So if you run into anybody like me, they're going to do that. No trained professional that does this goes in there to hurt anybody else. No trained professional wrestler anyway that does this is looking to hurt somebody else. I was in the back pissed off, and I was exactly talking about that. Like, we're not in this to hurt each other. So that's my side of the story. Take it as you want it. If you believe it, you believe it. If you don't believe it, I'm totally cool with it. That's for my friends. Like I said, this is mostly for my friends that are wondering what the hell is going on. And I'm addressing the podcast too. The podcast that came out with, there was one guy, I don't even know his name. I think it was Draven. I'm not sure. He instantly loses credibility because he says he doesn't even know me personally at all, but he doesn't like me because his buddy doesn't like me. I mean, how stupid is that? Okay, so you don't like me because your buddy doesn't like me. That means if this incident never happened, you still wouldn't like me because your buddy doesn't like me. So you have a biased opinion to begin with. Same thing with the dude that made the video. That guy has a biased opinion. Everybody who's judging me without seeing the other side of the story has a biased opinion. Now you have the other side of the story. So now you can listen to both stories and decide which one you believe, and at least now you have the chance to make an educated judgment. But yeah, that podcast, I wanted to touch on several things regarding that podcast, like Santana Starks. He's a friend of mine, and he says it in the podcast. We're friends, but he believes that I'm wrong. But that's not what he tells me face to face. And he like sort of fails to mention the fact that I apologized to him about the swearing at the show. Because I told him I'm sorry, and he goes like, "No, man, I'm sorry. I don't want to bring guys like that, blah, blah, blah." That's kind of the way the conversation went. But I apologized to him at the show to his face. I don't do things over social media. I don't bash people over social media. If I owe anybody an apology, I don't do it through a text message or social media. I do this face to face, and I apologize to Santana face to face for the swearing. He's the only one that deserved an apology, and he didn't mention that in his podcast. And the reason why he didn't mention that in his podcast is because it's too taboo. It's too taboo to say anything good about me right now. Everybody's focused on riding the hate train, and I don't blame Santana and his crew for trying to use this to build anarchy, put it on the map, so to speak, and kind of milk it like they're doing. But people are coming up with all kinds of stories, and that's the thing that's making my friends tell me, address this, put your side of the story out, because people are ripping you to shreds. And I'm kind of like, I don't give a damn. Let people think what they think. They're gonna think what they think anyway. That's what I've been telling people, is people are gonna think what they think anyway. You can't change perception. But all my friends just insist. So there you have it. I think I'm done. I think I addressed everything. If there's anything else left to address, or the other side decides they want to combat this and they want to argue about it, then you'll probably hear from me again. Otherwise, I'm done with this topic. The blanks have been filled in, and there was a massive amount of blanks. They've all been filled in. So if you people want to continue to hate, by all means, continue to hate. This isn't going to end my wrestling career. I will end my wrestling career when I'm good and ready. And that's not me being cocky. That's just because everybody determines their life. You determine where your life goes and what you do in your life, not others. I've always lived that way. And so I'm not about to stop wrestling. And I've gotten several offers for bookings that I've had to turn down because people just don't understand that my ankle is fractured. But I do think I'll be taking a booking in May out in Connecticut, I believe. So if you follow me on Twitter, or you follow me on Facebook, or whatever the case may be, you'll see me on some wrestling cards. When my ankle's good and ready, you'll see me on some wrestling cards. And if some of you tough guys in the locker room still want to shoot on me, I'll be glad to take you up on it, because I'm not going to run from anybody. Win, lose, or draw. I'm not going to sit there and take a beating and from anybody, regardless of size, big or small, whether it's a kid who's 150 pounds like this one was, or whether it's somebody who's like 275 pounds like my buddy in Japan. I'm not about to take a beating from anybody and let them get away with it. If somebody's going to intentionally injure me, I'm going to fucking let them know they intentionally injured me by getting back at them. And that's all that this was. So if some of you tough guys, all you keyboard warriors, who are out there making threats, think you're going to scare me out of the business, you're not going to. And if you think this is hurting my bookings and getting me blackballed, guess what? You're completely wrong, because I've had several offers with more money now than I ever did before. So I'll stop wrestling when I'm good and ready. I've done it 14 years. I've dealt with a lot of bullshit for 14 years, and I'll continue dealing with the bullshit until I see fit. And that's pretty much it. I don't think there's any more other topics to discuss. And as you can see, I didn't write any of this down. This isn't a speech, that I wrote down and premeditated or anything. This is just me shooting off the top of my head. So that's about it. That's about it. Again, if it goes back and forth, I'm willing to fight with you guys tooth and nail, verbally, until this thing, dies down. Until as long as it has to go, I will fight with you guys as long as it has to go. I'm not gonna back down. I'm not gonna say sorry to the kid. I'm not gonna anything. I'm gonna stick by my guns. I'm gonna continue taking the heat. Like I said, I got thick skin, and I'm not gonna be satisfied like this kid is, getting a reputation for being a mousy little boy, like being scared and stuff, and having people pity me and feel sorry for me because I'm small and weak. I'm not going to be that kind of person. No. I'm going to stick by my guns. I'm going to continue having thick skin. I'm going to stand in the heat because I can take it. And whatever, if you guys want to bring it on, bring it on. But he's not as innocent as you see, and if he's a good kid, he was devious that night. That night he was not a good kid. That night he had malicious intent, and he did it, and he got what he deserved, and he came out of there 100% physically okay. So I have no regrets. Unlike me, he didn't extend me that same courtesy.